Summer is finally coming back and the weather is doing much better despite the coronavirus. And this is Caleb Jones, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast, freedom-focused lifestyle design for men, where we show you how to create a freedom-based business/financial life, as well as a freedom-based woman life, because you need both long-term to be happy. Today, I'm going to talk about something that is difficult because when you say this, most guys go, yeah, I know. And they say, yeah, I know. And then they turn right around. As soon as they leave the room, they go right back to the behavior that you were talking about, as if they forgot it literally 10 seconds later. So it's going to be difficult for a lot of you listening to this podcast. You're going to say, yeah, I know that. And then I promise 24 hours from now, 48 hours from now, 3 or 4 days from now, I'm going to catch you, if I were to follow you around, I'm going to catch you doing the thing that you said you understood was a waste of your time that you shouldn't do. There is a strong desire among human beings, including men and including alpha males, not necessarily maybe alpha male 2.0s, but certainly alpha male 1.0s. There is a strong desire to hope that there is some powerful or intelligent or benevolent leader or person out in the world somewhere, or in some cases, a group of people who, if they are just put in certain positions of power, will solve all the problems, or solve a lot of the problems, or bring your country or your culture back to a time when it was better, or go punish the people that you don't like, or give you a bunch of free shit that you think you deserve, or change things radically so that things will become radically better and that your life will somehow change if this person or people just get into positions of power and are allowed to do certain things. It's a savior complex. And throughout my life, I have seen this in Western society, and specifically in the last 15 or so years, I have seen it get not only worse, but go on steroids. So I will go back to around 2007 in the United States, and a young, energetic guy named Barack Obama gets the Democratic nomination and starts running for president, and people just go ape shit for this guy. You have kids and teenagers walking around with pictures of his face on their fucking t-shirts at the mall. You have people who are fainting in audiences when he talks. You have people going on YouTube and the news saying, oh my God, this is great. He's going to pay for all my bills so I don't have to work anymore. You've got his supporters going on the internet and going on TV saying Barack Obama will fundamentally change how politics is done in this country. You have people saying, for the first time in my life, I now have hope. And his entire campaign is around hope and change. Now, it's interesting, sidebar about that. Years ago and back in the 90s, I was at a business seminar, and the guy giving the seminar was talking about emotions, and the emotions that are empowering and the emotions that are de-empowering. Not negative and positive emotions, but empowering emotions and disempowering emotions. And he was talking about one of the most disempowering emotions that human beings can feel is the emotion of hope. Because hope makes you sit on the couch and hope something will happen. You don't actually make anything happen. Hope is focusing on external factors to make your life better. And lo and behold, here I was, 15 years later after that, 10, 15 years later, and a presidential candidate is running his entire campaign on this disempowering emotion called hope. The concept that if I just vote for a certain guy or get on the internet and argue with people about politics, this guy will somehow make my life better, fix my problems for me. And you had this cult of personality around Barack Obama. And I said at the time, I said in 2007, I said in 2008, he was completely full of shit. He was not going to end any of the wars. He would not change anything fundamentally. He'd be the typical Democrat, and nothing significant would change once he was out of office in 4 to 8 years. And these left-wing people screamed at me like, no, you don't understand. Barack Obama is different. This time it's going to be different. TM. That's the statement I hear for most presidential elections in the United States, as well as I hear that abroad too, in many cases, sometimes in Europe and sometimes in Canada. You don't understand, dude. This time it will be different. This person is different. When this person gets into office, he's going to fix my life. He's going to make my life better when this guy gets voted into office 1,000 miles away and takes a certain position of power. over my country. All right, now, you know how that story ended. Barack Obama took Bush's 2 illegal wars and increased them to 7 illegal wars. Not only did he not back down the warfare state, he jacked it up and put it on steroids. He did not release the prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. He did not stand up to corporate America. Matter of fact, he was in the pocket of Big Pharma for many, many years. His entire cabinet was selected by the big banks. When he left office, nothing much had changed other than Obamacare, which, as I've talked about at the Caleb Jones blog, is a corporatist healthcare system. It is a corporatist healthcare system. It is not a socialist healthcare system. It is not even a welfare state healthcare system. It is a corporatist healthcare system. Obamacare basically means the government will put a gun to your head and force you at gunpoint to buy private health insurance. And if you don't, they will fine you. In other words, they will increase your taxes. It was not a fundamental change in any way whatsoever. And I was right. And all the Barack Obama supporters, all those left-wingers, all those Democrats who were worshiping and throwing flowers at this man's feet back in 2008 ended up looking like morons. Now, if you think I'm bashing the left and I'm taking the side of the right, get ready and buckle your seatbelts, because it happened with the right wing even worse than it happened with Obama right after Obama. Who was the president after Barack Obama? You had Mr. MAGA Hat. And Mr. MAGA Hat came along and said, I'm going to make America great again. And a whole pile of right-wing guys said, holy shit, this is the answer to our prayers. This is going to be great. He's going to make America great again. Now, if you've been reading my blogs, you know that America cannot be made great again. It is mathematically impossible to save the United States. The United States has been in a slow state of collapse since the late 1990s, perhaps early 2000s. And it is now beyond the point of no return. Even if you elected people who I think would do a good job, who would that be? I guess Ron Paul. If Ron Paul, who I think would do a very good job, because I'm a libertarian, if he became president tomorrow morning, he wouldn't be able to solve it either. As a matter of fact, I said that exact thing back in 2012 when my fellow libertarians were getting hard-ons and boners and jerking off on their keyboards about Ron Paul becoming president. I said, A, he's not going to win. People hate libertarians. And B, if he did win, he wouldn't be able to change shit. And I was right in both cases. And I said the same thing about Obama. And I said the same thing in 2016, a few years later, with Donald Trump. There's an entire article at the Black Dragon blog saying Trump is now president and nothing much will change. And I made 3 or 4 predictions in there about how when Trump leaves office in 4 years or 8 years, you will more or less have the same problems. He will not make America great again, not because he's an asshole or because he's incompetent, because he can't. He's not, he's just a liar. And already that has happened. The very first thing he did when he got into office, after saying America first, America first, America first, America first, is that he bombed Syria for literally no reason. He spent millions and millions and millions of your dollars, if you're an American, taxpayer dollars, bombing a country for literally no reason. I said at the time it was a hoax, and back in 2018, it was later proven, a few years later, that it really was a hoax. Assad did not gas those people, and Trump was just a moron. He also jacked up Obama's drone striking by, I believe the number is 460%. On and on and on. I have an article at the Caleb Jones blog called How Trump Screwed His Supporters Just in the First Year in Office. And I go through about 25 things that are the opposite of what Trump promised that he did his first year in office. And I'm going to be right yet again. Has he built a wall yet? As I record this, it's 2020. Has he built the wall? Has he built the wall? No, he hasn't built a wall. He's not going to change shit. He's not going to fix your life. He's not going to make your life better. Now, this is not a commentary on the left wing or the right wing, even though I tend to disagree with both, because I'm a libertarian and I'm not an anarchist, but I'm a minarchist libertarian and I'm a real libertarian. I am not the modern day libertarian who says they're a libertarian and then becomes a Trump supporter. I'm a real libertarian. I want small government, but that's not the point. The point is, if you go through life with this thought that, oh my gosh, if this person becomes president, or if this person becomes prime minister, or if this party gets into Congress, or if this party gets into parliament, or takes the majority of parliament, whatever your country is, every country is different, then they will fix my life. They will make my life better. They will fix some of my problems. You had guys in 2016, seriously, and they were not joking when they said this. They were seriously saying, and I can name names and I won't, If Trump becomes president, he will make women nicer to us. It will be easier to get laid because women will start being nicer to men when Trump becomes Did that fucking happen? That's how delusional people get when they see this savior and they say, oh my God, if we just vote for that person, won't everything be great? Now, has that stopped since Trump? No, you had another guy named Bernie Sanders who comes along and all these young people just get orgasms going to Bernie Sanders rallies saying, oh, this is going to be so great. He's going to give me free this and free that and free this and free that and jack up my pay. My life will be he's going to, forgive my student loans. My life will be so much better if Bernie Sanders becomes elected. Now, Bernie Sanders, as I record this, very recently bowed out of the race because he was beaten by Joe Biden. No one is excited about Joe Biden. That's not really my point. My point is how people have reacted to Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and then to a lesser degree before that, George W. Bush and Bill Clinton. They had a cult of personality as well, but it wasn't as intense years ago as it is now. As the Western world gets closer and closer to collapse, and now it is much closer because of what's happened to the economy, because of the coronavirus, and because of Western government's incompetent response to this virus, it's now much closer than it was. As Western society declines, people have become more irrational, including people in my audience who I like, including some guys on the internet who I like. And part of this irrationality is, if we just vote for so-and-so, or if we just vote for these people, my problems will be fixed. The savior complex. I am here to tell you that no one is going to save you. It's going to have to be up to you. No one is going to save you. No politician is going to save you. No leader is going to save you. And this is the point now in this podcast where you say, yeah, I know that. You're going to say, yeah, I know that. And then you know what you're going to do? Later today, tomorrow, over the weekend, whatever, you're going to start getting into internet fights on the internet with people of the opposite ideology as you. So if you're more of a Trump guy, you're going to start yelling at SJWs, right? And you're going to start defending Donald Trump after you just fucking said, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know. I've gotten the question before, and I wrote a whole article about this, answering this question because I got the question so often. Hey, Caleb, if you don't believe in political answers and you think the Western world is collapsing and there's no way to fix it, why do you talk about politics? And if you Google Caleb Jones blog, why I talk about politics, you'll get an article answering the question. But the bottom line answer is because I want to demonstrate to you, and every time I talk about politics, it further demonstrates this, that it doesn't matter who you fucking vote for. It doesn't matter who you defend on Facebook or on YouTube, on the internet. It doesn't matter which politician is in office. That person or group of people will not fix your life. They will not make your life better. Now, you could also argue that they're not going to make your life much worse. I mean, I might argue that as well to be consistent. That's probably true also. But it won't make your life any better. And you've got to release this irrational need you have, this hope. One of the most disempowering emotions there is, this hope that somehow, some way, if we get this certain person in a position of power in my state, my federal government, my province, my city, my whatever, then my life, my individual personal life will be better. Now, does it matter in terms of the society whether or not Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump gets to be president for 4 years or 8 years? Sure, there will be some societal differences. We're talking about you as an individual. And as always, I don't talk to society here on these podcasts or my YouTube videos or my blogs or any of my content. I talk to you. You, the guy listening to this podcast. You individually, I'm talking to you. Your individual life will not be noticeably better, will not probably be any better, whether or not Bernie Sanders becomes a president or Joe Biden becomes a president or Donald Trump becomes a president, or if you live in Europe, Angela Merkel becomes president or anyone else. It doesn't fucking matter. No one is coming to the rescue. And one of the things I had to learn when I was in my 20s, that I learned from one of my mentors, Brian Tracy, is he said, adulthood becomes when you finally accept that no one is coming to the rescue. There's no shining knight on a white horse that's going to come in and give you free healthcare or pay off your fucking student loans or make you get a raise at work or hand you a bunch of free money. That's not going to fucking happen. And even if it does happen, it'll happen in such small ways, your life won't be any better in the end. The only person who is going to make your life better is you. The only exception to that rule is if you are literally expecting a huge inheritance. If your mom or dad have millions of dollars and they're both very old and they're about to die, okay, you can make the argument, yeah, well, they're going to, I'm going to cash in on that. Great. If you're in that scenario, that's wonderful. I was not. My parents had no money when I was a kid. I doubt you're in that scenario. So barring that unusual scenario, the only person who's going to make your life better is you. So all the time and emotions and emotional energy you spend in politics, paying attention to politics, getting mad about politics, arguing with people on the internet about politics, arguing with friends and family members about politics, actually voting for certain people, going down to the polls and voting. If, God forbid, you're really into this stuff and you're going to rallies and things like all that time and emotional energy, both of which are limited resources. And so let's talk about that for a second. We know for a fact that energy and willpower, you only have a certain reservoir of these things every 24 hours. You do not have a limitless amount of emotional energy. You don't. So if you spend a decent percentage of your emotional and mental energy in a given 24 hours screaming about Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders or SJWs or evil rich people or whatever side of the aisle you're on, doesn't matter. Okay, this applies to you whether or not you're a left-winger or a right-winger or a libertarian like me, doesn't matter. The more time you spend and the more energy you spend on these things, the less energy you have to improve your own life via Alpha Male 2.0 models. Your Alpha 2.0 business and your woman life, where you have a rotation of FBs, MLTRs, OLTR, what have you. You have less energy to work on these things when you're freaking the fuck out about politics. One of the reasons that I have been so effective in my life, especially over the last 15 to 20 years of my life, and I've gotten so much done, and my life is such a wonderful place to be now, is because instead of focusing on politics like I did back in the 90s when I was a young man, I instead focus on my own life, my Alpha 2.0 businesses, my physical health, my woman life, my goals, my mission, my vision, my life, me. I focus on that. And so I get much farther, and I have in the past, and I still have, I get much farther, much faster than a lot of guys I know who in some cases are smarter than I am, or in many cases are much better looking than I am, or much more physically fit than I am, or in some weird cases, even harder working than I am. They work hard, but they work hard at the wrong things, including shit like politics. And the reason for that is these men focus their energies on political bullshit instead of their own lives. And one of the commonalities I have found with men who make a lot of money and don't work long hours, men who are very, super successful, more successful than I am. One of the commonalities I have noticed with these men, it's not across the board, but it's the vast majority, is they don't pay attention to politics. They don't give a rat fuck about politics. They're too busy focusing on their own businesses. These guys who make millions of dollars a year and only need to work 20 hours a week, they don't spend those 20 hours a week or even their free time focused on fucking politics. They focus on building their lives. Huge. And this is a difficult thing to get through into your head because, again, you're going to nod your head and you're going to go right back to bitching about politics in a little bit. I'm pretty sure the odds are good that you're going to do that. Every time you do that, every time you talk politics on Facebook or make a YouTube comment on a political video or watch a political video, you watch the Young Turks or you watch Ben Shapiro, whoever the fuck you watch, okay? Or you read political news or you talk about the election. Every time you do that, you need to remind yourself, I am stealing life away from me. I am stealing money away from me. I am stealing away women or female companionship or sex with hot babes, whatever objective you have in your woman life. You should say to yourself, I am stealing this away from myself. I'm stealing this because while I'm here fucking around with politics and focusing my very limited emotional and mental energies on politics, a thing that you cannot fucking change. Can you really change the direction of your country? No, I just proved you couldn't. Trump supporters thought they could. They were wrong. Obama supporters thought they could. They were wrong. Bernie Sanders supporters thought they could. They were wrong. You can't change anything by focusing on politics. You change things by focusing on yourself. Well, Caleb, isn't that selfish? What about giving back to society? What about giving back to your community? Caleb, no man's an island, and you can't just be a pure individualist, and you have to give some thought to society. Let me tell you something. I love when people say this. Let me tell you something. I had someone recently accuse me of being an asshole because I was so focused on myself and I didn't care about society. By the way, both of which are true. That's an accurate criticism of me, and I don't consider it a criticism. I consider it a compliment. And I said to him, this was private, this wasn't public. I wouldn't have said this publicly. I said to him, great, if I'm such an asshole and I'm so selfish and you're such a nice person, let's compare how much money you give to charity every month versus how much money I give to charity every month. And if you don't want to compare dollar figures because you can argue that I make more money, so I have the wherewithal to give more money, okay, fine. Let's level the playing field. Let's just do percentage of income. Let's figure out the percentage of your annual income that you give to charity versus the percentage of my annual income that I give to charity. Because I know what that number is. I give to charity every month. I cut some big checks to charity. And this person went, and ran away because he knew. So this person worrying about society wasn't giving any money to charity. And I give money to charity on a regular basis. So it's not about ignoring society. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about putting your energies to places where you can be productive, not only for yourself, but also for society if you wish. If you want to save the world, if you're a right-wing conservative and you want to save Western civilization, which I think is stupid, but okay, let's say you want to save that. Or if you're a left-wing person and you want to save the environment, which I think is stupid, but okay, if you want to do that, great. Get to Alpha Male 2.0 minimums first. Ignore the environment and ignore the Western world for a few years and build up your Alpha 2.0 business or businesses so that you make at least $75,000 a year or more if you want it from purely location-independent income that doesn't require a lot of work to maintain. And focus on your woman life so you have at least 2 women on rotation in a long-term way, both of whom you consider at least cute. Once you have that, once you are a true full-bore Alpha Male 2.0, you're making that kind of money location-independent, you've got multiple women on rotation, so your woman life and your business life are both at solid levels, especially if you have the financial aspects I talk about, like very little debt or no debt and emergency savings and a little bit of investments. If you're at that baseline and now you want to go save the world, great, go ahead and do that. At that point, that's perfectly fine. I think that's a great idea. If you really want to spend your time doing that and that makes you happy, great, go save the Western world, go save the environment, save the planet, save whatever the fuck you want to save. That's fine once you're at that level. The problem is, I know that the vast majority of men on the fucking internet watching political YouTube videos and bitching about politics on the internet do not make $75,000 a year location independent and or do not have 2 or more women on rotation. They are nowhere near the Alpha 2.0 lifestyle. And if they are, they're in one area, maybe finances or women, but not the other. So they're taking the time away from doing that instead of building their lifestyle to a baseline where if you want to, at that point, give back to the world, that would be fine at that point. There's an order to these things. So I'm not saying you need to be a total asshole and ignore society for the rest of your life. You don't have to do that, but you do have to get to baseline minimum so that when you have political upheavals, when you have down economies like right now with coronavirus, you don't have to worry about it because your Alpha 2.0 lifestyle is already in place and already going to sustain you because you focus your energies in the correct place. And the only person who can do that is you, not Bernie Sanders, not Trump, not Obama, not your mom, not your dad, not your girlfriend, not your future wife, nobody. You. Please get this. Please get this in your gut. Remind yourself next time you fuck with politics that you're killing yourself. You're stealing from yourself. You should be focusing on yourself first and doing politics second when you get to a certain baseline. I hope this has helped you. Really take this to heart if you're really into politics because it'll change your life if you do this. It changed mine. I'm so happy now that I don't focus on politics the way I used to in the 90s when I was wasting my time with that shit because my life is so much better because of it and yours can be too. I will see you very soon. If you want more help with this stuff, more help with Alpha 2.0, join SMIC.com. Have fun. See you soon. Bye.